A worker leans into a plastic wrapping machine, feeding in material closer and closer until the unthinkable happens. Inside the factory, the machine dominates the floor. Its rollers hum steadily, designed to pull sheets of plastic into place for cutting and sealing. A worker stands at the front, guiding the wrapper by hand. His movements are calm, practiced, almost routine. As the rollers draw in the plastic, the material suddenly catches. The machine grips tighter, pulling the sheet faster and faster. The worker reaches for the e-stop, but the momentum builds, the system consuming material uncontrollably until the shutdown halts it in a shuddering stop. What began as a small snag turns into a lesson in how quickly a running line can overpower human reaction. Never feed or adjust material by hand in a running machine. Rollers have no awareness of what they're pulling in. A worker walked past the mixing line, seconds before pressure found its weakest point. Inside a processing plant, rows of industrial dyeing or boiling drums hiss quietly. Steam valves rattle. One worker pauses near the third tank, unaware that its internal pressure has climbed far beyond its limit. Without warning, a deep rumble shakes the line. One of the drums releases with a deafening hiss. A surge of steam and dye bursts into the air as pressure vents uncontrolled. Never, ever stand in front of or beside a pressurized vessel without verifying its isolation and pressure release. If you hear irregular rattles, leaks, or valve chatter, stop production and back off. No target or timeline justifies standing in the blast line of stored energy. A worker steadied a suspended machine part until the line snapped and the hook came flying back. In a machining workshop, a chain hoist holds a heavy machine part mid-air. The operator below reaches out, guiding its position as another worker adjusts the hoist controls. The chain hums under load, tension steady but strained. Then, without warning, that tension gives out. The lifting chain snaps. The suspended load drops hard as the crane hook recoils in a sudden arc. The sound of metal clattering across the floor echoes the reminder. Tension always fights back when released. When a suspended load drops, what's attached doesn't just fall, it fights back. Do keep a clear radius around lifting paths and guide loads only with tag lines or poles, never by hand. Even a small hook can swing with the force of a hammer when tension suddenly releases. In a kitchen filled with noise and motion, a waiter turned her head for just a moment, and the machine caught what she didn't cover. Inside a fast food kitchen, a crew member stands beside a drink mixer and ice grinder, filling cups headset on, keeping up with the rush. As she turns to respond to a coworker behind her, her uncovered ponytail swings back, right into the grinder's intake zone. Suddenly, the grinder catches what's loose. A sharp whir echoes as movement stops. The crew reacts instantly, hitting the power switch while the machine slows to a halt. What began as routine prep becomes a reminder of how quickly exposed hair or clothing can trigger a serious hazard. Never, ever work near rotating equipment with uncovered or unsecured hair. Do wear a full hairnet or cap that contains every bit of hair, especially in food prep zones with moving machinery. Hair control isn't just hygiene, it's protection. A concrete pour in progress until one worker reached for the line that carried more than just cement. It's early morning on a construction site. The concrete pump truck is in position, its boom arm extended high, hose lowered to the slab below. Workers stand in the pour zone, leveling the mix as it flows steadily from the end hose. Above them, power lines run across the site, close enough to notice, easy enough to ignore. As one worker adjusts the hose, the boom edges too close to an overhead power line. A bright arc flashes as contact occurs, energy surging down the structure before the system trips offline. The crew freezes, the pour interrupted by a lesson in how small distances can carry massive power. Electricity doesn't wait to warn, it travels the path you provide. Do always maintain the safe clearance distance between concrete pump booms and overhead power lines, at least 20 feet for lines under 350 kilovolts. Use a spotter to monitor proximity whenever a boom is raised or repositioned. One worker, one machine, one blind moment. No warning, no time to react. At a quarry yard, a front loader rumbles through the work zone, its massive tires biting into the earth. The operator inside shifts gears backwards in a bid to change directions. Just a few meters away, a worker in a blue shirt walks across the open path, eyes forward, unaware he's entering the loader's blind zone. As the loader moves forward, its bucket raised slightly, neither man sees the other. The worker steps through the path just as the operator starts his turn, both unaware how close they've come. A moment later, the loader halts, the danger revealed only when distance vanishes. Never ever walk or work in the blind zone of heavy equipment. Operators can't see everything. The machine's size and structure hide entire people from view. Use spotters or visual signals when crossing near active machinery. Communication is your shield. Silence is your risk. In a factory alive with the sound of weaving looms, one touch to a metal frame turned routine into crisis. Inside a weaving workshop, the machines thump and hum in unison, rows of automatic looms producing sheet after sheet of fabric. In the narrow space between two running looms, a worker in black moves closer, focusing on a line of cloth that has stopped feeding properly. While adjusting the loom, the worker rests a hand on the metal frame. Unknown to the crew, a hidden fault has energized the structure. A moment later, the frame discharges, tripping a breaker and halting nearby equipment. The looms hum to silence as the cause becomes clear. The metal housing itself had turned live, invisible until the system failed safe. Moisture, worn insulation, or missing earth bonds can turn any metal structure into a live conductor. Never, ever trust a machine's metal surface to be safe, especially in electric workspaces. Always test before touch and ensure every loom, motor housing, and frame is properly grounded and protected by RCD breakers. It looked like just another trench until it wasn't. And this isn't just a trench giving way, it's worse. A small team of workers stands along a roadside trench, part of an underground cable excavation. A layer of loose sand covers the work area, with one worker inside the trench, while others stand nearby, casually discussing the progress. Then the trench wall gives way. Sand shifts, exposing a buried cable. As metal tools strike close, a sudden flash and surge of energy erupt from below. Light and smoke burst upward, scattering sand across the work zone. The brief flare reveals the hazard beneath, proof that one assumption nearly turned routine work into disaster. Never ever dig or enter a trench before verifying the status and location of underground utilities. Electric lines may be buried, but they are far from harmless. One strike can trigger an arc blast hotter than fire. Treat every buried cable as energized until proven otherwise. One valve, 1 second of pressure, and the whole room erupts. Inside a brewery's process bay, stainless steel tanks gleam under fluorescent lights. Hoses coil neatly along the wall, feeding cleaning lines and transfer systems. A technician in workwear approaches one of the fermentation tanks, preparing to connect a hose for a rinse cycle. It's part of his daily routine, familiar, repetitive, and seemingly harmless. He grabs a line, checks the fitting, and starts to open the valve connecting it to the tank. In an instant, a surge of pressurized liquid bursts from the connection point. The line snaps free, releasing a high-pressure jet that floods the work area in seconds. Mist and foam fill the air as tools rattle, and the operator steps back, startled by the sudden release. Never, ever release or disconnect a pressurized line without fully depressurizing the system first. Liquids under pressure are invisible hazards. They store energy that doesn't forgive mistakes. The crane tilts, and in a blink, the worker is trapped where he thought he was safe. It's a shiploading area with metal crates stacked along the dock. A dockside crane sits between the vessel and the storage line, moving cargo along its boom. One worker stands close, checking the alignment of the next load as the operator repositions the crane. In seconds, the crane's footing gives out. The mast tips sideways, slamming into the platform and blocking the worker's escape route. Dust and debris scatter as the structure settles with a deep metallic groan. Never, ever stand within the fall path of a lifting structure or under its boom, even when it looks stable. Do inspect anchor bolts, supports, and foundations before use, especially after any movement or loading change. A crane that's not secure is a hazard waiting to fall. Machines fail fast, and when they fall hard. Stay clear, stay out, and always trust distance over luck. Don't forget to share what you learned today in the comments. Your insight could save a life. Take care.